This segment, I want to cover some anxiety and talk about what the mental aspect of anxiety is and how you can learn to recognize that and reduce or eliminate the anxiety that you have created in your life. And I say that purposely, that you have created in your life, because oftentimes that is what we have done to experience anxiety, to create that is through the thought processes that we have focused on. And as we have focused on that, we've allowed that mind to go racing faster and faster, which has caused a lot of anxiety. Now, it's easy to get confused. Sometimes it's important to check out the physical aspects of anxiety. There are times where we're triggered and our body goes into that fight or flight mode. And that is a lot of physical anxiety, but what is the trigger and cause of that? If we're triggered with past trauma, if something happens that surprises us or brings us fear of our own safety, then that causes anxiety. Also, that one time was said by HeartMath.org, who studies the heart and anxiety and stress and relationship, where a fourth of anxiety was caused by a heart condition. And when the heart condition was resolved medically, then anxiety went away. So that's something to keep in mind, is whether or not anxiety is physical or not. Also, some individuals I have found, as I've worked with many, is that sometimes the anxiety that they experience is really not even their own. They're picking up and feeling the vibes of those around them. We all are connected at some level with our spouse. And so what our spouse is feeling, we feel, and what we feel, our spouse often feels. Sometimes the anxiety we feel may not even be our own. It may be our spouse's, or as a mother, you may feel anxiety thinking and having empathy for your children. And when you know that they're having a hard time, with your empathy, you feel anxiety on behalf of them, and you take that on as your own, trying to help them feel better and take it away from them, when in actuality, it's good to recognize that you've taken it and you need to help them be stronger to let it go rather than you take it from them. So just a little parenting tip on that. Also, I just want to mention there's some great videos by Les Carter on narcissism. Some relationships where you have a toxic partner or friend or associate, where that can be very anxiety triggering, because working with that person, things are not going to change. Okay, with all that being said, I want to talk about also the aspect of anxiety. And so I'm going to share my screen here and draw some of that out. As we look at this board, I want you to just think about the past, present, and future. The past, present, and future. If you think about each of those, really we can only live in the present here in this space. We cannot feel things in the past or feel things in the future. What we feel emotionally and physically is all in the present, right here. However, when it comes to feeling those things, the anxiety, it's about our thoughts from the present about the future. And often we can have guilt, which is a feeling thinking about the past, about what should have been different than what it was. And the anxiety here is how we create anxiety through our thought process, is thinking about what might happen, what could happen. And we get into these thoughts of what might or could happen, and then with our imagination, we create scenarios of injury or being hurt or being judged as wrong or not good enough. And all of that in our imagination is where we create anxiety in our mind, which then is felt in our body. I believe that it's important to realize, though, that some anxiety is good and healthy. And what I recommend as we look at this, where 80% of our focus is on the now, and that's in today's vernacular, it's called mindfulness, living in the now, just focusing on the now. There are times where it's important to think about the past. So we have learned the lessons. Learned lessons is important. It's been said that if we forget our history, we will repeat it. So it's important to remember our history and the history of others so that we do not have to repeat those mistakes. But also, planning is good. So I say 10% in the past, 10% in the future planning, and we want that 80% again, right there in the present. Some anxiety is good as we plan because it helps us prepare. If we have a test next week, like we're in school, planning and preparing for that test, anxiety is good to help us prepare for that. When it's the right amount, it's a very healthy and helpful thing to be able to plan and execute preparation. And also in our imagination, the good use of our imagination is as we plan, then we have practiced in our mind how to respond to possible situations. So we have prepared ourselves. And that is good, again, to a point. But when we go overboard and that planning and that imagination takes us so far into that anxiety, and then we can get stuck in that loop and have a panic attack. And all the while we have created that, we want to learn to balance that out so that we can live in the now. And so with confidence, we focus on the now. And if we really are in a dangerous situation, we're in the fight or flight mode. And we don't want to take time to think. We want to escape to safety. But in our imagination, we don't need to be having our body going into escape mode to be in that fight or flight mode. And so that's what anxiety is. So just be more aware of how you trigger with your imagination and how you can refocus on the now, focus on your breathing, and breathe long and slow and absorb and experience what you are experiencing in the moment and live joyfully. So how this ties around back to improving your marriage is that as you are aware of your triggers and your thought process, then you can be more aware and not go into fight or flight mode, but into planning mode and discussion mode, learning the lessons, talking with your partner in a peaceful, calm way.